This is as groovy as it gets.
Oprah, Can You Hear Me? Oprah vs. Donald 2020 is a conversation by Julie Benetti and Susan Barbaro and a production of EI Alliance, copyright 2019. America is courtesy of New Threads off their new album, Felonious Wilma. Hi, this is Julie, and I'm here with Susan, and we are talking about Oprah's takeaways from the presidency today.
So I just have to say that Julie comes up with some of these crazy ideas. She turns around and says, we have another podcast. I'm like, I have nothing to say. Well, and I don't know where you come up with it, but you come up with these things.
Here's where it originated from, because I started to think, why would Oprah ever want to be president? If you're thinking about, if you have ever, and this is, I'm speaking out of terms here because I don't know Oprah, but if you're saying, I have everything I could possibly want, I'm doing everything I could possibly be doing, so what could she get from the presidency? So I started kind of just doing a little search on what are some of the perks of being president.
Tell me the perks.
Well, some of the perks of being president, where we both kind of looked at each other and went, okay. First of all, from the Former President's Act, there is something out there called the Former President's Act. You get a pension, you get transition money.
Ooh.
You get a staff and an office, medical insurance, Secret Service protection, and all these things. And even, I guess, there's a presidential townhouse that you can use when you come to Washington after you've been president. Now, these are things after Oprah would serve her couple of presidency terms that she's in once she's elected. And so I started to think, well, how would, does that really work? It kind of was, I started to think, let's do a top 10 list, and I couldn't really find any of these to put on the top 10, except the things I would say is the presidential library, which I think would be awesome, because that would be all her books, right?
Because it would be all her
Oprah's book club books. There you go. I mean, that's an easy thing, plus any that she's written and wants to write. And, then we were thinking kind of in a funny way, the acoustics in the White House might be fun. Oh! That was just a joke.
Tap dancing when no one's looking.
Right, yeah, sure. And also, to make a difference. And yet I kept on thinking, well, there has to be something more. What could we, as the American people, offer Oprah?
Well, I don't think we
as being the leader of the free world, as however you want to term the presidency is.
Isn't that one of the interviews that she gave, one of the talk show hosts, one of the nighttime talk show hosts, like, oh my God, it's such an honor to be wanted by the American people to represent them. And the truth of the matter is that I don't think we, the people, have anything we could offer her. There's nothing we could offer her. There's no money that's going to sway her.
Right.
Power. She's already probably the most powerful woman in the world.
Right.
So the only thing, I think the answer to that is her own self-development.
Right.
That's the only thing, because you know what? I didn't say this afterwards, but then I thought, what if we turn the tables, and what is it that Trump is being offered by the presidency? I mean, he's got, again, we always make these assumptions, but he's got money. He's got his own plane. He's got, a lot of things. What is it that the American people are offering him?
Right.
I don't think he's doing it out of the goodness of his heart. I don't think he's doing it because he feels like an altruistic urge within him.
Right.
I think he's doing it because there's something within it that he is getting. He's getting something.
Right. And, basically, as you're saying this generically, this is such an odd question to ask because, growing up, in the United States and as an American citizen, you just know what the role of the presidency is. And you never question what they're getting out of it and, what use is it of them and, what the president does and who the president is and what the position means. And now that Donald Trump has gone in and kind of reconfigured, the whole skill set to match his and to how this role is experienced, we're even asking this question. I almost feel a little bit like in bewilderment that I'm asking this question.
Well, I think it's fascinating because no one's ever really considered that part of it. And I think the idea before was like being king. You wanted it because it was, an accomplishment of you are the king.
Right.
And, there's a lot of shows on TV, whatever, that go into the lives of the royals and everything else and all this scandal.
Right.
And even they go back to, I saw something with Cleopatra and Mark Antony and, Julius Caesar. And they talk about it, and it doesn't look like a place that you would want to be.
Right.
It really doesn't make it, from the outside, it looks a certain way. So I think what's important is when we ask this, and we ask this of Oprah, and if you were to sit and talk with her, what, like you said, what is it that's going to move her to do it? And I think it's nothing more than stepping into the next phase of her development. And I
agree with you, because I think I also want to say the one thing that I almost don't want to say is that it's not even, is it really even to be the first woman president? No. I mean, haven't we moved beyond even that consideration? And if you go and expand past even that, now you've entered this amazing space. And when you talk about self-development, I mean, that was the perfect word to say.
So, and that's what the word that came to my mind. What I find interesting, and this has come to me a few times when I mention it, is people, I want to be remembered. I want to be known for being the first, blah, 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 whatever it is. And, we both know someone who believes that they were a very important person in a previous lifetime, right? And the way I look at it is, if I were, say, George Washington in a previous life, I was the first president and everything, well, I'm coming back now, and I'm just Susan Barbaro. And even if I could somehow prove you could hypnotize or, put me under or whatever, and I could come up with some huge discussion as to something only George Washington would have known, and I could prove somehow that I was George Washington, still doesn't do me any good. I'm not George Washington. Right. And so what would that mean? I come back, oh my God, I was George Washington. Great. So, okay, Susan Barbaro, now what are you doing? I just find that so fascinating. It's like
you're collecting $1 bills. There's my picture.
But it's just, to me, it's an interesting concept of people. I was so, and there's rumor that you were talking in a previous podcast about a certain, reality star person talking about running for president. And I thought I heard someone say that he said he thinks he was Jesus.
Oh, gosh.
And whether he was or not, I can't tell you. But guess what? Even if he was, go out on the crazy whim that he was. So what? It does not affect you this lifetime.
Right.
So if you did, so the reason I mention that is if Oprah is doing that, believing that I will be the first, not only the first women president, but the first African-American women president, then that's great, but that's not enough because, I hate to say it, who cares?
Right.
Who cares?
Right.
People are going to remember you for what you do or don't do. And if you're going to remember you for what you learn about yourself and who you bring in every place that you go.
And so from the standpoint of, what her takeaways from the presidency would be, that huge environment and possibility of even grander self-development.
Of who she can be.
Of who she can be, of who she truly is.
And she has to let go of the whole self-help genre, really. Because it's like, okay, you fixed everything. Now there's nothing to fix. Now it's... and I think that, and I'm going to say it again, was what used to be, everyone thought was self-help, which was really, we didn't need to be fixed. We just need to learn more about who we are. And that's not a fix it. And that changes the whole idea of a guru. It's not someone fix me. It's I'm looking for things to help bring more of who I am out, so I know more of who I am and what I can do. That's really what it's about.
And what better space than, leader of the free world, as they proclaim the terminology of it. But what better space, between different countries,
right,
and different people from different backgrounds and in a grander, I keep on saying in a grander space. What better place to experiment in that self-development, especially after all the quote-unquote experts from the different industries that she's been able to interview and communicate with and have aha moments and share that with all of her viewers. I mean, even think about that. Now I go propel from there and go, what a great opportunity to even share that experience with us in a grander view and take us all into that grander space.
Because you got to remember, everything we do and talk about in this podcast and all our podcasts is about energy, about being in that space of the energy. And when you're in that space of the energy, we have a podcast on the Tao. It's you are in it. You are a part of it. And that connection with all is within you. And if you can be in that space and truly be in that space and walk that walk.
And that's a really good point, because I was going to, in our ancient text podcasts, we do have that podcast about Lao Tzu's The Tao.
Right.
And Tao Te Ching. And thinking about that and reflecting upon that, upon the experience of all the different possibilities that Oprah can access in that grander expression of herself is very interesting.
She can. That is how you make a difference. It's being the mentor and being the example. And if she takes what she's learned and she can become. And this is the question. I think this would be the scary part for her. Can I really become and do it? And, there's challenges. We all get pulled out of it. And can she stay in it? Which is, what we even said about Trump. Can he stay in being who he is? Because society constantly throws, balls and things at you that try to pull you out of it. And you know what? We all get taken out of it sometimes. And I think if she does it and she has her moments where she stumbles, I think it's okay. You just turn around, you pick yourself back up, and you try again, and you just keep moving with it.
Of course, and the element from, what we were talking about the Tao is when you're looking out. I mean, that's when you stumble and you get distracted, and you're working towards what's out, focused out that way. And when you go further inside and you work and move with that, and I agree, we do all do that. We do get distracted.
I think for her, it would, for any of us, when you go really inside, and she says she's looking for a sign, I think, the sign is within you.
Right. And that's
and it's what is, I know I'm stumbling right now because I'm trying to figure out, is what you're doing right now fulfilling that next role in your life? And if it is, then wonderful, don't run. But if it's not, those are the signs that you look for.
And that's interesting because, if there's something else you should be doing instead of being president of the United States, I guess that's kind of the phrase that you were saying, then that's what you're going to be doing. Yeah.
If you're looking for a sign, the sign's within you. You know if you want to be president or not. And it's not because, I want this title. It's because there's something else that drives it.
And no metrics and no validation and nothing is going to confirm that except yourself.
You know what? And that's what we were saying about Trump. He just knew. He didn't care what anyone else said. He didn't care what the polls said. He didn't care about anything. He knew what he wanted, and he was clear about it.
And he focused on winning.
And so that's why the question is, if you're looking for it, it is within you, Oprah. It's within you. You know what you want to do. And you can't be looking for someone else to tell you to do it.
And that's just beautiful for all of us as well, because that's what we need to do as well. Thank you for listening to this production from EI Alliance. Check out our Amazon authors pages for books and podcasts, along with our Donald Trump and Oprah books for this series. Find great music by New Threads on iTunes, Spotify, and on newthreads.us.